Welcome everyone to the Inland Sports Show. Before we start the show, make sure you like this video and you've subscribed to the Inland Sports Show YouTube channel. And if you're a local business or organization and you promote yourself on this show, just send us an email, inlandsportshow@gmail.com. The show starts right now. Garcia's left-footed. Yo, what is up, y'all? We got a really fun show tonight. Welcome to the Inland Sports Show. I am your host, Pep Fernandez. Another at-home edition at Teen Vision TV 16 continues to be renovated and some upgrades at the studio. So we're still from La Casa de Fernandez, our mobile studio, the home edition. But we got a great show. Really excited about this one. Coming up, we're going to hear from Aric Galliano, the head football coach at San Jacinto. The Tigers, of course, coming off a CIF Southern Section title. They went all the way to a state championship game. We're also going to hear from Ahamad and Asaad Chapman, the twins at Cajon High School. Two big-time ballers hoping to lead Cajon to another CBL title. We got some, I'd call it breaking news when we have their interview, so stick around for that. And Harupa Hills head coach Citros Marinez will join us for a lengthy interview. We talk a lot of football and family and some other things with Coach Marinez. And also we're going to check in with TJ Stanford, the head football coach at Arroyo Valley, give you a teaser to a great interview we've got at IEMG right now. But first things first, let's talk some San Jacinto Tiger football. You know, when it comes to at least the Inland Sports Show coverage area, the San Jacinto Tigers, the Jack, was the only local team to win, well, a CIF Southern Section Championship and a CIF SoCal Regional title. In fact, the Tigers went all the way to a state championship game, falling in a close one on the road in the state finals. But still, it was a historic season, bringing home a CIF title to the Jack for the first time ever. We had a chance to talk to Coach Galliano about his squad. He's got some guys back, including him, number 8, Dylan Gresham, who is probably the best receiver in the IE and maybe the entire state, one of the top recruits in the country. He's already committed. But Dylan Gresham will obviously be another big factor for Coach Galliano and the Tigers going into the season. Plus, another big addition is Coach John Rice, the former head coach at Riverside Poly, most recently has joined his staff out there at the Jack. So here is head coach Aric Galliano talking about this year's squad and, you know, how do you not have that hangover from last season that you won the title, you went so far? How do you regroup? How do you stay focused and dial it back in to maybe make another championship run? Here's Coach Galliano. Inland Sports. And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show. We're just cruising around with the man himself, the king of the jungle out there in the Jack. It is San Jacinto head coach Aric Galliano. And Coach, man, we're just rolling around the Jack with you right now.
Yes, sir.
You know, gosh, looking back at last year, man, what a magical season it was for the Tigers, their first ever CIF Southern Section Championship. As a head coach, does that get you more excited to come back for the following season, knowing how fun and how successful last year was? Does it get you, like, kind of, you know, reinvigorated to come back and start this year?
Super excited, but also, like, worried because then, you know, the expectations are put a lot more myself more now I think I did last year because, you know, I don't want to, you know, we've built this program to what it's at, and I don't want to make it sure like it's a fluke, like it's a one-year thing. I want to be able to compete and continue to do those types of things year in and year out.
And how do you do that? What's the secret, you think?
I don't know. Everybody's talking about the championship hangover, you know, and I'm just trying to avoid, you know, getting those kids with the championship hangover, you know, pushing them every day. And, you know, we just started summer last week, you know, so the first 2 weeks have, you know, been kind of slow, just trying to get them reincorporated to what we're doing again. And, you know, it's fun. You know, we had a lot of pieces. You know, we lost 30 kids, you know, but we also played a lot of young kids early on. So they got a lot of reps, you know, so we're excited to see, where we're going to be at.
How much do you, like during these, summer practices and workouts, how much do you talk about last season and the championship, or how much do you try to say, hey, that was last year, this is a whole new season, a whole new team, we got to have, a new approach this year?
Well, May 28th was our last night of reminiscing on the 2022 season. That was the night I gave out the championship rings. And in my speech at the banquet, I told them, I go, we're moving forward. We're not talking about what happened in 2022. We got to set our own destiny moving on in the 2023 season. And, this is our last time that we can reminisce and enjoy it, with our seniors' families, the players from the 22 team. And it's time now for us to start working on the 23 team and, see what type of destiny we have for ourselves this season.
Coach, before we talk about some of your players, let me talk about some of your coaches. You brought in John Rice, the former head coach, a couple stops in Riverside, most recently Riverside Poly. What do you think he's going to add?
A wealth of knowledge. He's been a head coach at numerous places. He was a position coach, St. John Bosco. So he's learned a ton of football. He's one of the most well-respected guys in Riverside County, coaches-wise. For me, having the opportunity to hire him has been huge. I couldn't have done so without Coach Powell, who's been with him the last couple of years. But I'm kind of selfish. I want to learn. It's not for the kids, but, I want to learn as the head coach of what stuff, we do. What stuff does he do? How can we make my program better? That's one thing that I leaned on him. And, we meet up, periodically. And where's he see our program and, moving forward, like getting his, he has so much knowledge. He's probably forgot more football than I know. So being able to pick his brain, is huge.
All right, Coach, let's talk about some of your guys now. Of course, we got to start with Dylan Gresham, who is one of the top players in the country. He might be the best player in the IE. He broke all the records. What do you expect from him his senior season?
Well, I'm expecting a lot of people to know who he is now. So we're trying to figure out ways to get him the football. He's a special talent. Great kid. Good family. All those things. I'm excited to see, his body's matured. He's hit the weight room. He's gotten faster. I've seen him compete at all the Redlands camps. Just seeing him, perform, is huge.
And I know you've been on football for a long, long time. You've coached a lot of great players. Where do you think he ranks, and what makes him different? What makes him special?
He wants more. That kid lives for football. We only go 3 days a week practice during the summertime. We need to go 5. There's not many kids that do that. He lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes football. And he's so competitive. It's unmatched.
Are you guys in dead period right now, or when do you?
We did that at the beginning of June.
Oh, so you're done, man. You're going straight through. You go right into the season now, right?
Yeah, we're going right in. We just got finished. Like I said, this is our second week of practice. Basically our third day of practice, because we missed one day last week because of kids and getting their and all that stuff, paperwork stuff done.
So do you prefer it that way by design? Would you rather, like you said, take your dead period in the beginning, just go all the way through, to that first week in August? Or, I know some coaches are like, no, let's take our dead period in July right before we actually start like fall training camp. But it sounds like you like it this way.
It gives those kids an opportunity to hit up all the Redlands camps and do those things where they're not missing our football practice, which is huge.
Coach, let's end it with this. Where are you going? You're in a rush. You're always running around the jack.
No, my kids are at a Bible camp, and so one of my daughters got injured, so I'm just coming here to pick her up.
Oh,
but no, things are going great.
Is she okay?
She's good. Yeah, they just told me to come pick her up.
All right, well, we're going to let you go then on that. But we're trying to relive some of the Jack magic from last season, the CIF Southern Section Championship, and actually all the way to the state finals last year. Coach Galliano, always appreciate the time. Hope your daughter's okay, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. We'll be on. You're more than welcome time at the Jack, Pep. You know that.
Yes, sir. That's Aric Galliano, head football coach for San Jacinto here on the Inland Sports Show. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Inland Sports. Well, I am happy to report that Coach Galliano's daughter is just fine. He texted me after the fact, and basically he was rushing through, and I was like, "Where are you going? You're in a rush." And I felt so bad that his daughter was injured at church camp, but he texted me after the interview and said she is doing okay. So that's great news. And Coach Galliano, thank you for the interview. I always appreciate it. All right, we come back here on the Inland Sports Show. Got details about the I Am Gifted Alexander Madison football camp coming this weekend to San Bernardino, and we're going to check in with Cajon High School football stars, the twins, Ahamad and Asaad Chapman. That's next here on the Inland Sports Show.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken. And the Southwest Premier League. Visit socal.southwestpremier.org for more information on the league and the men's under-23 schedule.
What up, y'all? Boostman here with a quick 2 cent. Parents, no better place for kids to learn how to control their emotions than through sports. There's nothing wrong with competing with emotion. The key is how we use them. Channeling your emotions to work harder, focus more, and compete with intensity is encouraged. But when emotions lead to negative outcomes, this can be detrimental to athletes. That's why it's important that parents model emotional control for their kids. Screaming and arguing with refs, blaming coaches, or getting worked up at other kids on the field are terrible examples of emotional control. So if you want your athlete to keep their emotions in check, be the example. Boostman.
The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
Hello, this is Angela Encinas from the San Bernardino Public Library. Welcome to the Summer Reading Game, open to all ages from babies to seniors, where you win badges, prizes, and are eligible for the grand prize. This year's theme is Find Your Voice. We use our voices to share stories and express ourselves. Our voices include not only the sounds we make, but the words we write, the art we create, and the movements we perform. Summer at the library is the perfect place to explore and find your own voice. The Summer Reading Game runs from June 5th until July 29th. Sign up at sbpl.newstack.org. Remember, you can always check out ebooks. Call your local library or visit sbpl.org for more information.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show. I'm your host, Pep Fernandez. We appreciate you tuning in on this at-home edition. A big shout out to our partners out there in the local community. Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, Boost Performance Training in Corona, of course, Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. We got Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive, and SoCal Premier, the Southwest Premier Soccer League. Thank you guys for partnering with the Inland Sports Show. If you're a local business or you know of a local group that might want to partner with Inland Sports as well, just hit us up. You can find us in our DMs on social media, and our email is inlandsportshow@gmail.com. All right, with that said, let's get into our next segment. We want to mention, he's a friend of the show, Alexander Madison. He's got his I Am Gifted free summer life skills camp coming up. In fact, Alex gives back everywhere. The Pride of Cardinal City does it in Minnesota, where he plays for the Minnesota Vikings. You can see there he had a St. Paul camp. Now he's in San Bernardino for a couple days. Then he's going to take the show on the road to Boise, where he played at Boise State University. So Alex is a big giver, and it's going to be an awesome football camp, awesome life skills camp with our good friend Greg Bell. So check that out. That's coming up on Friday. We will be out there as well. We're going to go out there, shoot video, get some interviews, and we'll have more on the I Am Gifted Alexander Madison camp. A couple guys, as we continue to talk high school football, that are expected to have a very big season for Cajon High School. Ahamad and Asaad Chapman, the twins, are now seniors at Cajon. And two big takeaways from this interview was, one, they're going to play on both sides of the football this upcoming season for head coach Nick Rogers. They are lockdown defensive backs. They're going to play receiver this year. That's going to be double trouble for teams. And also, they're trying to prove that, Cajon is still relevant. They are still a football powerhouse. And they said it in the interview that ever since Jaden Daniels left Cajon, everyone's been waiting for the Cowboys to fall off. And the Chapman twins are here to tell you, Cajon, they're not going to fall off. They're going to stay on top. They're trying to win their 7th straight Citrus Belt League title. Now, we had a long interview that we're going to post on IEMG. That is the IE Media Group YouTube channel. But here's about half of that interview with the Chapman twins, Asaad and Ahamad from Cajon High School. Inland Sports. Let me ask you about recruiting. So I know you guys have some offers already on the table, and I'm sure more are on the way. Do you guys, in terms of college, do you guys want to play on the same team? Do you feel like once you get to college, it's time for you guys to go your separate ways? Like, what do you feel about college coming up and the offers that you guys are getting?
I feel like the offer I'm appreciate it. They show love first out of all colleges. I'm pretty sure I don't get more this season, but as going to college together, we're going to college together for sure, no matter what. Like the colleges ask us are y'all a package deal or y'all going together, and I'm yeah, we're going together for 100%. But it's actually nice that they're offering both of us at the same time. It's kind of it's exciting, to be honest.
Is that cool for you too, Ahamad? Is that always the game plan? Like you said, when you talk to colleges, it's a package deal. If you want one of us, you gotta offer both of us. We want to go to the same place.
Yeah, we're gonna stop talking about that. We're definitely going to the same school, or that's what we're looking forward to, of course. So,
what would you guys say is your dream school? Like, is it a place where, you can study a certain subject? Do you want to stay on the West Coast? Do you want to go somewhere where your parents can, easily see you? What are you looking for in your dream school?
To be honest, just going to college together, both playing on this either 2 corners or 2 safeties. I like to stay close to home, but again, I want to go deep and explore. I want to explore more. San Bernardino's a small place, but so close to home. So it's convenient for my mom, my parents, and my siblings to come to the games. But we're both playing. I'm not too worried about the academics and stuff.
How about you, Ahamad?
Yeah. I want to major in kinesiology, so of course anything that has somewhere towards that major, I guess. Mm-hmm. Someone that makes me my brother feel like home. You know what I'm saying? My mom won't play for the games. I don't know.
But you're pretty open, right? I know you got some offers right now and getting some interest from a lot of schools. You guys are pretty open, where you might end up, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys, final question. Man, What are your goals, your expectations for this season for Cajon? I know you guys have won 6 straight CBL championships. I know that it was a bitter loss in the playoffs going up against CV. I don't know if that you guys still think about that game, but what's your expectations for this season for Cajon?
It's really big for us. You feel me? Everybody's saying like, but they've been saying ever since Jane Dale's left. Oh, Cajon's not gonna be good after this year. Cajon's not gonna be this after this year. You feel me? So it's more of we gotta set a standard and we gotta like leave a mark so where they can like they'll understand like Cajon will always be good. There's not 1 year be good, 1 year iffy. You feel me? But talking about the CV game, the Citrus Valley game is gonna be real. We got something for them. You feel me? It was the last year playoffs game. They came like they was ready. We ready this year. You feel me? We got something for them this year. Sure. A lot of talking on the internet and stuff, so we know we do all that. But a lot of goals for this season. Last season I had 4 picks. I think I want to get 6 or 7. That's my personal goal for this season. I think some of the exciting games coming up for this season. Aquinas, that's going to be a fun game. Last year was pretty good. It was the reigning game. Etowanda, we're looking forward to Lincoln. Lincoln's going to be exciting. Me and we're going to San Diego. Arbor Beauty going to Vegas first game. Yeah, Coach Rogers kind of put an exciting schedule for us, so I'm really I appreciate him for that. We got OV. That's going to be an exciting game. We're actually predicted to lose, so. You feel me? That's gonna be exciting too. But I'm really looking forward to Citrus. That's what.
All right, let me end on this one. Do you think you guys will have more touchdowns or interceptions your senior year?
Oh, touchdown. Yeah, touchdown.
Guys, listen, man, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Ahamad and Asaad Chapman from Cajon High School. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are set up to have a big year. Can't wait to see what happens.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Inland Sports.
Those guys were such great sports, and you can find the entire interview coming up on the next episode of Sports Weekly on IEMG because the IE Media Group is beginning to preview the upcoming high school football season, so look for that. When we come back here on Sports Weekly, when we get back here on the Inland Sports Show, get my shows crossed. When we come back on the Inland Sports Show at Home Edition, our interview with Citros Marinez, the head football coach for Harupa Hills. We'll talk to him about a lot of different things, including their league, players coming back for the Spartans, and a little bit of life as well as he tries to relax a little bit before the start of the high school football season. We'll be back on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show, right after this.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken. And the Southwest Premier League. Visit socal.southwestpremier.org for more information on the league and the men's under-23 schedule.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show at Home Edition. Teen Vision TV 16 under construction right now, but we're hoping to be back in there very soon this summer. All right, we're talking a lot of high school football, not only in this show, but we're going to do it in the weeks leading up to week 0. Friday would be August 18th, that first Friday night of high school football. A lot of teams in dead period, but we're really going to get things cracking in the month of July as we get close to that first game, first week of games. And right now we're going to talk to Harupa Hills head coach Citros Marinez, talking about his Spartans this year and how he takes advantage of this summer to, well, get ready for the season, but also, try to pull back and relax a little bit. He's got a wife and kids, and they're all very, very busy. So how do you unplug just a little bit, try to relax before the start of the season? Here's our guy, Citros Marinez from Harupa Hills.
Inland Sports.
Join us here on the Inland Sports Show. He's the head football coach for Harupa Hills, Citros Marinez. And Coach, I don't think I've ever asked you this, so I'm going to throw a curveball to start this interview. If you weren't coaching and you weren't teaching, what would you be doing right now?
I'd probably post it up in my backyard, man. It's like my little paradise, my favorite place to be. When you're a head coach and you have to deal with all the drama, you have to go to your safe space. And that's my, that's my place where I go after a tough day, after a tough game, tough practice or whatever, and be like, all's right in the world, at least in this little area right there. So that's where you can find me for sure.
High school football has turned into this, 12-month, every single day, 12 months out of the year, kind of a high school sport with, lifting in the off season and spring ball and, going into 7-on-7 stuff. Do you get downtime, and what do you do to get downtime besides hang out in your backyard?
Yeah, you know what? I think it is. Recently, we went to a new rule in our district where the schools are all going on a 2-week mandatory. So basketball, volleyball, everything. So this is our last week here at Harupa Hills, and then the whole school goes on dead for 2 weeks. So it kind of it's a good little thing that forces us to have to take a break and give the kids a summer. And so I'm really liking that, and hoping that it continues in the future. I think we all need it as we get into a long season. And, some of us are just, if they don't do it for us, then we're going to kind of feel the guilt of, man, we should at least be doing something right now. Back in the old school, the old school dead period, you could lift, but you couldn't practice. And so, it still meant that you were here or whatever. So I kind of like this way. It's been reduced from 3 to 2 weeks, but it's something that, the whole school, and my daughters are cheerleaders here. One plays basketball. So I pretty much live at the school. So for them to shut everything down at the school works in my favor right now.
Are you good at relaxing? So let's say, you go into dead period. You're going to take a family vacation. You're going to go to the beach, whatever. You're going to go to the movies. Are you good at unplugging, or are you always thinking, man, that week 0 game's coming up, or we got to work on the line, or are you always thinking something about Harupa Hills football?
First of all, Pep, are you trying to set me up right now? Did my wife send you some questions or what?
No, it's the problem I face too. I can't relax. I can never relax.
Being present is definitely something that is a challenge for me. My mind does naturally go to the game. I'm one of them weirdos that relaxes on my couch and watches a coaching seminar on YouTube. It's one of my favorite things to do. Or the history of the wing tee is my latest watch. I love that kind of stuff. But I try to my best. It's definitely something that my wife has done a good job of getting us out of the house and traveling. And I've definitely seen the value of it and recharging. And so I'm getting better at it. We call that a growth mindset around here at Pep. So it's something that I need to do a better job of for my own health and obviously for my family, and making sure I have enough time for them as well.
Yeah, it sounds like your wife and my wife are very similar, and God bless them, right, to keep the families going and keep us sane, I guess.
For sure, my man.
So, Coach, let's talk about your football team. I know you lost some big-time players, some of the top players in the IE, but how do you like your squad going into this year? Who's back? Who looks strong on your team?
Yeah, first of all, let's talk about those guys that have left. You know, they did a great job, and we're really proud of them. Jordan Napier just started at San Diego State last week, checked in, got his physical, did some running with them. Cam went out to Northern Colorado as well and is training with them. And Liddell Williams is over at the U of R. So we're really proud of our program, and being able to get kids to the next level is one of our main goals and one of our indicators of, you know, doing things the right way around here. But obviously we have some big shoes to fill, and we're taking that as a challenge. We understand that those are really good football players, and we're challenging our guys right now, the guys in the room that have played some varsity football and have got some time. It's like, hey, it's your time now. What are you going to do with your opportunity? We're talking that with the skill guys today and saying, hey, you know, so there's so many plays you get in the football field. And we're showing them the numbers that Jordan and Cam had, you know, like as good as those guys were. You know, it ain't old school where somebody's getting the ball 30 times anymore. You know, they're getting the ball, you know, 10, 15 times at the high end. And those are, you know, D1 players. So, and you get the ball around here, we expect you to do something with it. And the guys that break tackles, makes plays, are going to get the ball. So we're creating that competitive environment within ourselves and doing some other things with some schools to kind of see and let those guys kind of rise to the top.
You know, Coach, as we go into the 2023 season, you know, from the time you began your coaching career to where we're at right now, have you changed as a coach? Has the game changed a little bit? You talked about, you know, you're not going to get a running back's not going to get like 30 carries in a game. Maybe that used to happen 20, 30 years ago, but has the game changed at all? Maybe even when you were a coordinator at Rev to where you're at right now? I mean, or do you approach it any differently as a head coach?
100%. It has changed. And I like to say, Pep, I've been coaching since the 90s, but it was 99 when I started. So I did have that year in there back when I was a volunteer freshman at Lucerna. But yeah, it has changed tremendously, you know, the whole social media and the recruiting game and all that. And I tap into my, you know, the older coaches that I'm very close with, Coach Bruick, obviously both of them, and say, you know, like, how do you kind of, I was just talking to Kurt yesterday and asking him, you know, how does he deal with that changing tide and keeping them fresh? My goal is to do this for a long time. I've never, you know, obviously I want to win a championship and all that, but I've always been like, you know, I want to do this for 30 years. I like those guys and, you know, create that stability in a program and build a culture and a coaching staff that, you know, we grow up together. We raise families together. We see guys. I got a couple guys that play for us already. That's how long I've been in Harupa Hills. The guys that have played for us are now back coaching. Another little like metric we use is like, okay, we're doing, you know, we're moving in the right direction. If you're going to be a good program, I really believe in that. So talking to guys like Coach Tessitore at Citrus Valley, Coach Zelaya was here during summer school. He teaches in our district. I was really getting, you know, some information from him and just trying to learn from my elders and to, you know, make myself better from their experiences. Because it is hard, man. I feel it, Pep. This is my 10th year as a head coach, and the game has changed in my short time. And, you know, the older guys probably laugh at me and be like, dude, what are you talking about? You know, you've been coaching in the iPhone era or whatever. But I can still remember like in 07 being all fired up because I figured out how to like download the video onto my color iPod, and I was like, Coach B, we're gonna watch film already, and now it's like normal, you know what I mean? So we're getting the little AI camera installed at our stadium. I'm all fired up, giving Miss Braun and Miss Reed, our ADs over here, props for that. So, man, that's crazy, huh? You don't even need a filmer in the sky anymore, Pep. It's wild times.
So let me ask you this, Coach. So in '99, when you started coaching, were they still trading film on VHS, or was it already digital?
Yeah. That's right, baby. I'm old school enough to remember driving to Los Alamitos, having all the the tapes in the car and being like, all right, here's ours, here's yours, and remembering, that's the other thing that really changed as in my coaching experience. You used to be tied to the VHS or the Landro as we had back in the day, and so you had to spend your time at school to watch film.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe I could beg Coach Brooke to let me take a film home, but he wouldn't trust my young ass. I didn't have that privilege, right? So we would be at the school all night, and now you have access to that film all the time. Your kids are watching it, your coaches are watching it. So you got to kind of move with the times and embrace the technology and see how you could adapt to it the best and make it best fit for your program. We still believe in meeting as a coaching staff on the weekends because I'm like a big in-person guy. But I know a lot of guys who are successful doing the whole Zoom thing like we're doing right now. And, I think there's just many ways to kind of get it done.
Coach Marinez, who would you say in your stint as a head coach, who would you say going up against has always provided the biggest challenge in terms of, let's say you had a game plan going in and you're like, oh my gosh, man, they figured it out. They got us. We're going to have to make adjustments, or, because football's kind of like a chess match. You got a plan going in, you got to make adjustments. And who, have you coached against and you thought, man, this is a worthy adversary. This is a great coaching matchup. He's making me work. They had a great game plan too. How do we figure this guy out? How do we figure out this opposing team?
Man, you know what? That is something that really that's like you said, that when you're thinking about football for so much, those are the matchups and the experiences. But, as coming up as a coordinator with Rev, there's two names that come to mind right away, and that's Harold Strauss when he has all the NFL guys. But, man, his scheme, it wasn't just hand the ball to Alan Bradford and those guys. It was like, hey, you got to deal with this double wing, single wing. Being like a football historian, I love that. And it was like, okay, now you get to play some historical offenses with dudes that are going to go play in the league. So, being there with Coach Tess up into the wee hours of the night and Coach B trying to show me and tapping into, the Dick Brooks staff and getting them to teach us, that's really good. And then as far as the spread game goes, and the coach that really taught me how to be better in defending the pass is Coach Steinberg, man. When he was at Miller, we used to go at it a lot, and he came at it with this whole 5-out approach, and he definitely showed me with the weaknesses of my coverages, and he exposed them, and he kept me up lots of nights trying to get better. And so I kind of take from all of those. Obviously, at my heart, I'm still a defensive guy, but Coach Brooke let me coach offense my last year at Rev, and then I flipped over to this side of the ball as a head coach, and I always still think like that. You know what I mean? What's going to keep that defense coordinator up at night, and can I take a little bit of what those guys taught me, along with many others? I can say that helped me be a better football coach.
Do you feel like it's dangerous to stay stagnant? You always want to be learning. I know there's coaching clinics and you guys all get together and that coaching fraternity, it's like a brotherhood. You guys share ideas and all that stuff. But do you feel like if you're staying the same, you're going to fall behind? You're always trying to evolve and learn more. It sounds like you're a real student of the game. You pick the brains of a lot of local legends, and like you said, you're always watching film and stuff. I mean, do you feel like you've got to always feel like you're continuing to improve as a coach and to be better?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's based upon your personality as a coach. I'm somebody that, I like there's guys that, that run a system, they run the double wing, or they run the run and shoot, or they run, an offense, and they get really good at it. And, there's nothing wrong with that, man. You get really good at something, how people are going to defend you, and you become just great. I feel like the difference comes in how do I practice it even better? You just gain your efficiency as you get to that mastery level of it. For me, I'm probably more on the other spectrum, Pep, where I like to do a lot of things and challenge our kids and our coaches. The coaches will tell you on my staff, I drive them crazy because I'm constantly thinking about football, and sometimes I have to tell them sorry, or I won't text them on purpose on the weekend because I'm like, dude, I gotta give them a break. I'm like a weirdo like that. But I definitely like to have. I'm more on the let's run, a little bit more than. I'd rather have a little bit too much than not enough. so to speak. And again, that's a lot to do with, how I was mentored by Coach B and those guys, and kind of taught me like that was the way I was mentored as a coach. So that's what I've taken on. But I know those guys that have been doing it for years and years and years. And, that's what they do, man. And those guys are not any easier to defend. So I just feel like, it's up to you as your coach and your personality. And, you just got to embrace it and build your program around that.
Well, Coach, I'm going to admit I didn't think we were going to hear the word run and shoot during this interview. That made me think of Warren Moon and those Houston Oilers teams, that run and shoot offense, man.
It's my YouTube algorithm, bro. You know what I mean? I just like whatever history is behind it. I'm down for some Mouse Davis or something like that. But we played Coachella Valley in 2019 playoffs, and they're pretty much a run and shoot team, man. Like that was the team that really knew what they were doing and throwing the ball, giving us quads and empty. And I'm just like, that was like the defense coordinator. Me, I'm like, ooh, we get to play against this offense now. We get to play against that offense, and you get challenged with, we had to play that team that week. And then 2 weeks later, we're playing Almani in the double wing, smash mouth, no receivers, and then all receivers. So that's what I do like about high school football, is the variety and the differences. And it's definitely not as, vanilla as the higher levels are.
Yeah, I was to say, is that fun? Like, week to week, you're seeing different teams. Like you said, 1 week it might be a run-heavy team, and the next week it's a team that's going to spread it out, and they got an empty backfield. They don't like the running back. I mean, you never know, right? Like, especially in the playoffs, you know who you're going to run into. They might run a completely different offense. Yeah,
for sure, man. And it's like our league is kind of built like that. So it's fun for me, and I get engaged with it, but I'm sure my defensive coordinator, Coach King, doesn't like it because I'm over here just pouring stuff into his brain and I feel like the old coaches now and talking about how we did it 10 years ago. We defend it. Here's the history behind this coach. Here's where he learned it from, blah, 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 blah. So I feel like all that matters, though. And the way I was taught is the way a coach and where a coach comes from, and, the way they learned it is going to play a lot into how they're going to run their football team. So we like to dive into that stuff too. But, if you look at our league, we got Grand Terrace, they're in the double wing, with some Harold Strauss roots and Markham roots to them. And then you got, Coach Matheny and the Fontana background and the power run game with them and the athletic quarterback they have now. And then you got Ike, who's like, tearing it up in 7-on-7 and super athletic. So like, to win our league, you're going to have to be athletic enough to defend a spread team and physical enough to defend a power run team. So, like I said, that's what makes it fun. And, as a coach, what you're worried about right now this time of year and what's keeping you up at night.
Well, Coach, listen, I always I always appreciate, you giving us time here on the Inland Sports Show, and I always enjoy our conversations, even when I'm lurking in the shadows over here with the sun on me like this. But hey, listen, let's do this again. I hit you up because you guys were gonna do like a passing tournament, so maybe I'll still see you at some point this summer doing a little 7-on-7 action.
Yeah, no, for sure, Pep. But thank you. I appreciate the time and I appreciate what you guys do for our game.
Yes, sir. That's Citros Marinez, the head football coach for Harupa Hills. The Spartans getting ready for another big season coming up here on the Inland Sports. Inland Sports. And a big thanks to Coach Marinez for that interview. When we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, a quick teaser of our interview with TJ Stanford, the head football coach at Arroyo Valley. And we're going to preview the match of the week in the Southwest Premier League. That's next here on the Inland Sports Show at Home Edition.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco. #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken. And the Southwest Premier League. Visit socal.southwestpremier.org for more information on the league and the men's under-23 schedule.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Boostman here with a quick 2 cent. In pursuit of your goals as student athletes, it's perfectly fine to feel frightened, even intimidated, over the amount of energy that will be required. The question is, how do you respond to fear? Do you allow it to stand in front of you or push you from behind? Big dreams and goals should always scare you a little, but allowing that fear to stand in your way will prevent you from moving forward. While those who use that fear as energy to push them forward can surmount any obstacle and achieve any goal. Your boy, Boostman.
Hello, this is Angela Encinas from the San Bernardino Public Library. Welcome to the Summer Reading Game, open to all ages from babies to seniors, where you win badges, prizes, and are eligible for the grand prize. This year's theme is Find Your Voice. We use our voices to share stories and express ourselves. Our voices include not only the sounds we make, but the words we write, the art we create, and the movements we perform. Summer at the library is the perfect place to explore and find your own voice. The Summer Reading Game runs from June 5th and July 29th. Sign up at sbpl.greenstack.org. Remember, you can always check out ebooks. Call your local library or visit sbpl.org for more information.
Inland Sports.
Listen, every time they play the Houston Astros, there's always something bitter about it, right? Like, it's Houston, it's the Dodgers. They still hold on to that grudge about cheating. So every time they play Houston, there's always that extra bit of motivation to beat the Astros, even though, you know, a lot of those old players are gone. I know Altuve's still there, you know, but a lot of the old players on Houston are gone. They have a new manager, the pride of Riverside, Dusty Baker. And speaking of the Dodgers, you know, when you talk about help is on the way, help is on the way. If you're a fan of the Dodgers and the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, you already know this. On Sunday afternoon, Julio Urias, the starting pitcher for the Dodgers, made a rehab assignment. Looked pretty good. Went 4 innings. He threw 60 pitches. That's what the count was going into the game. Like, hey, let him throw 60. He struck out 8. He did give up 1 run, but he looked pretty sharp as he battles back from a hamstring injury. So for the Dodgers, looking for extra pitching, it's on its way. Julio Urias lighting him up yesterday at Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah, and I mean, a young arm, and it's pretty cool to see him. We've gotten to watch him grow. I mean, we remember the young kid when he took the mound, and now he's matured and he's become a really great pitcher. And obviously, it's always awesome when we get to see him in our backyard.
Inland Sports.
Just hanging out with my boy Patrick in the morning on KCal 96.7 FM every Monday and Thursday morning. Now, on this week's edition of Sports Weekly on IEMG, we had a chance to catch up with the Arroyo Valley Hawks football team. Head coach TJ Stanford, along with one of his star receivers, Ronald Weathers. Here's Coach Stanford talking about the Hawks going into year number 2 of his tenure as head coach.
Did an interview just about this time last year. From that point to where we are right now, standing here today, I mean, how far has the program progressed, you feel like, in your eyes?
Well, it's night and day. I mean, last year we started 5 sophomores on the offensive line, 3 of whom have never played before. We were a super young team. They stuck together. We've got most of the nucleus back, and so it's night and day.
You know, we're going to talk to Ronald Leathers here in a moment, but what did you like offensively? I saw you played a couple different quarterbacks. Ronald had several touchdown catches. What did you like offensively?
I like that they're picking up the scheme, and they understand that if the ball's not going to them, they still have to run hard. They still have to run their route so they can get other people. And when it's their turn to eat.
Coach, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you've got Bloomington on the schedule. I think it's still a league game. Is that correct? And, you know, how is that when you guys do 7-on-7? You try to not to, you know, show all your tricks and put everything out on the table. How does that work?
Yeah, we just try and be as vanilla as we can, but still work on things. And, yeah, they are a league team, and, you know, they came out and played us really hard.
And you'll have to head over to IEMG for the complete interview with Coach Stanford and Ronald Weathers. Just a quick teaser there to get you over there to check out that interview. And finally, here on the Inland Sports Show, we're doing this every single week throughout the summer here. It's our Southwest Premier League match of the week and SoCal Premier action. This week, Inland Empire FC, the football club, taking on AC Brea. That is Sunday night, July 2nd, 6 o'clock, out there at the Ralph M. Lewis Sports Complex in Fontana. We'll see if the hometown boys, IEFC, can get the job done against AC Brea. And make sure you follow SoCal Premier League on all social media platforms, including Instagram and Twitter. All right, that's our match of the week, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Inland Sports Show at Home Edition. We appreciate you tuning in each and every week. We'll be back in the Teen Vision TV 16 studio very, very soon as they go through renovations. I'm Pep Fernandez. Stay safe out there. God bless you guys, and we'll see you next time on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show. Good night.